This episode of Ticket Volume is brought to you by us, InvGate. Get service operations under control in no time. Get 1 free month of our software solution by going to try.invigate.com. Ticket Volume is proud to host the principal consultant for Tedder Consulting, Inc., a contributing author at TechTarget, TechBeacon, and our friends over at ITSM Tools, along with many more, of course. He's a contributing author and faculty member for HDI and has served as an Institute Fellow for the Institute of Digital Transformation, the Director of Strategic Development at ITSMF USA, and as the Director of Management Systems at the priSM Institute. He's also served as the president of ITSMF USA and has an extensive history in many service delivery roles at Roche Diagnostics, as well as Appalachian Regional Healthcare. Welcome to Ticket Volume Live, an opportunity to be the news and information for improving IT experiences. I'm your host, Matt Barron. And each week, I hype up leaders to share their insights on service management, technology, and business. And this episode is going to be more of the same. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope that you get involved today by asking a question in chat or providing your insights and comments as we're speaking, because this is meant to be collaborative. Get the value that you want out of Ticket Volume by getting involved. So let's begin. Welcome, Doug Tedder, to Ticket Volume.
Oh my gosh, Matt, what an introduction. It seems like such a long tail for a little kite like me, but I appreciate it.
I've never heard that before. Long tail for a little kite. I like that. So we're here to talk about ITSM implementation roadmaps. And part of me wants to just say service management roadmaps, because so many of our initiatives are crossing multiple departments. But let's talk about it real quick. What do you think organizations are trying to get for value when they start down the service management journey?
Yeah, that's a great question, Matt. And I'll answer it a couple ways. I'll tell you what I see most often, and then I'll tell you what we ought to be thinking about. What I see most often is that there's this spurs of services, and I'll stick to IT for now, right? But they need some kind of channel just to kind of open a ticket and get some kind of action or resolution. And so they just go out and throw something into the environment, and they call it done, right? They kind of put their hands, and done. The challenge though with that approach is, how do we know that we got the value out of that we needed to get? How do we know that our organization is getting a good return on investment, that they're getting the results that we want? And that's what should be happening when we think about service management. We're starting in the wrong spot, right? We're not, rather than starting within IT, we should be starting with our organization and having those conversations about what is it that you need from us. And we have to be a little vulnerable. We have to ask some questions that maybe we should know but don't know the answers to. But we that's where we need to start.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's level 0. It's maturity level 0, where you literally have no way to manage services, and then eventually you're like, okay, we need an intake form. We just need a way for people to report stuff that's down, or just to have interactions, and that's kind of where it starts. And then people start looking. They're starting to get to level 1 maturity, or they're exploring. What do you think that kind of looks like as people, like, what are executives looking for? What are they chasing when they get to the next step?
And again, it's about, now that we're taking care of that end user, right? And we're getting that little bit of at least workflow and starting to understand what it really should start doing with that executive. It's like, well, what else is possible? What else could we be doing? How are we, when we think about it? And this is one of the things that I find, that I say a lot that maybe takes people back. Anytime an end user calls the service desk, the organization is paying for IT twice. We're going to have a service desk. We're going to have the IT organization that supports that service desk. and we're going to pay them, right? Because we want them. There are things that we are doing as IT that absolutely contribute to business value. And we may not be able to articulate it very well, but that's another topic. But we're also paying that end user to stop what they are doing to do IT work. And so if I'm an executive now, I'm going to start to look at, well, here comes these, you're going to like this, Matt. You ready? The volume of tickets. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. I should have waited for you to. I should have waited. I apologize. And say, wow, either we're taking too much time and we're interrupting business productivity. What's the cause of this? And that's what we ought to be looking at as we start to go up in that maturity level as you described it.
Dude, I love that you brought that up. That is a point that just gets missed constantly when we're thinking about the ROI of a service management initiative, that the employees who are not IT staff are doing IT work for whatever time they're putting in tickets or reporting stuff down or just not being able to work. It's so difficult to measure that. And so often we just focus on how much does the ticket cost? How much does our end of things cost? So that's such a good point. Double paying, and you don't even realize it when you're doing it. So
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like IT hell. To me, that sounds like what total chaos and total destruction feels like. Are there other struggles that you see organizations, or are people, would you say that people are really at that end where they're in IT hell, or are most people just trying to get better at what they're already doing?
Yeah. I think there is, in most cases, at least in my experience, there is some efforts that to try to get better, right? How can we reduce resolution times? How do we answer the phone more quickly? And again, those things are good things to do. So I don't want to diminish that. And certainly, taking the ticket and being able to measure the internally from an IT perspective, those are good things.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't answer the business question. And this is how it shows up, right? I'm always being asked to drive my costs down, but gosh, don't they realize that it really does cost us $3,000 to deliver a laptop? I'm being asked to do things with less, but my gosh, it takes. We can't give up any headcount. Oh my gosh, we need all the people we need, and because we haven't done that level zero work, why are we doing this stuff? What is the outcome that the organization should expect? How does the investment in technology deliver business results? Then we get stuck answering these questions on the back end, and quite frankly, that's painful. Oh my gosh, it's painful. So it's IT hell, but it's IT hell for IT.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so when do you think people, what is the sign that you need a strategy, right? Because you can start at that level, you're like, okay, I just need to start capturing tickets. We need a way for people to report incidents. At what point do you know that you can stop just making those onesie twosie improvements and you need to focus and build a strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I struggle with this one personally. The academic in me says you need to start from strategy from the minute that you want to start, right? And in a perfect world, that would be the perfect place to start. But I also try to be more pragmatic about it as well. And I use the analogy of when your house is on fire, the fire team is not going to come in and look for the match. They're going to put out the fire. So that's where a lot of organizations start. I've got this demand for capturing demand for IT support, for capturing demand for IT service. And I've somehow got to coordinate how the various parts of IT work together through some change management approach or something. And I understand that. But when we are not able to start to answer the business reasons why we're doing technology, when we have to start to go back and justify, or we find it difficult to justify investments in IT, and it's not clear, what's happening with our investments in IT, and now is, there's never, it's, there's a good place to start, right? That's a good indication. Is it the only indication? No. I mean, your business, my business, another person's business are going to have different drivers. But understanding the business becomes so important. Why is this important? And so maybe that's the place. We need technology. Why is that so important? And maybe asking that question a little kinder, a little softer. But essentially, that's what we need to know. Why? And then we can start to work with that and say, oh, well, then we need a bigger strategy for what we're doing from a service management perspective. We're moving beyond just what I would call a catch and release call center or help desk to something that the business is expecting more from. We got to make sales. We've got to ship product. We've got to take customer calls and provide a great customer experience. Maybe that's the initiative that we start to latch onto and say, okay, now it's time to really refine our strategy. We had a strategy. The strategy was, take care of the end user first.
Yeah,
okay, we fulfilled that one pretty quickly. Now what? Right.
Yeah.
And that's the question that oftentimes the folks outside of IT are asking us. Now what can we do?
The house on fire metaphor is perfect. Like, the house is on fire. You don't have to think strategically about, oh, am I going to upgrade the front door now? It's not really that important. Get the fires out. And then, just hearing you speak about it, it really is those executive struggles. It's the IT director, it's the service and support manager, the infrastructure manager, not being able to answer the questions that the other business peers are asking. And it really is, they're strategic questions. Like, there's no better way to put it except for like,
they are.
Hey, why do we choose this laptop? And someone from sales is going to ask, the sales leader is going to ask, why did we choose this laptop? My battery's dying. My sales reps are left out on the field without batteries all the time. Why did we make this decision? And you start to realize, okay, we need to, number one, start involving sales in our tool selection. But number two, like, let's partner with that executive and understand their constraints and incorporate them into the IT strategy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the business is making a significant investment in IT. And in turn, that means we've got dollars, we've got time, we got people, and to be able to answer with confidence, hey, business partner, hey, IT, non-IT colleague, right? Here's what you're getting, and be able to, and be excited about it versus, yeah, I know you can get a laptop somewhere else a little cheaper. Wow, that's a tough conversation.
Yeah, it's
Unless
all
you've
fun
done
and
this
games
work,
till
right?
it's all fun and games till everyone has a Chromebook. Not to slam Chromebooks too hard, but they are
Chromebooks have their place. They're
Exactly.
good.
Okay, so let's talk about strategy just a little bit more, because that's today's topic. When I, the few IT departments that I've been a part of, there's been incredible leadership, and I'm lucky to be able to say that. And what I think some IT leaders do is they cookie cutter, right? Like, an IT director or a CIO might go from one organization to another. How do they get started? Can you take what worked at one company and apply it to another? How does someone actually get started when they know they need a strategy? How do you suggest they get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think there's a tendency, because technology is so ubiquitous and because we get so accustomed to this being so simple to use, right? That I can just pick up, or there's a thought process out there. I can just pick up what I did at organization A and drop it right into organization B. And my answer to that is maybe, sort of, kinda, right? There are some valuable lessons learned from organization A, in my analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what were the results? What went well with that strategy at organization A? How can I apply those learnings in organization B? However, having said that, it's not a cookie cutter kind of thing. And so the lift that has to happen, and this is the one thing that I find consistent across organizations that I can use, is that every organization that is successful has a strategy at the organizational level, right? And it can be as simple as a mission, vision, goal statements.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as an IT executive, how do I support those things within my organization? what's the mission? What's the purpose of the organization? Where do they want to be? There's the vision. And what are the things that they've identified in order to meet that mission and vision? Well, that's their goals. Now I can start to critically evaluate that. How does technology play? How do we ensure that technology works in a way that's integrated and really delivering both tangible and intangible results to the business? The business, folks outside of IT, we are a part of the business. Okay, that's part of the problem, in my opinion, as well, that we don't consider ourselves part of the business. But and how do we do that in a way that's consistent, measurable, repeatable, and I feel it? I think that's the thing that we have become more aware of in the last few years that maybe we didn't pay much attention to. We hear a lot about the experience. At the end of the day, we're humans. We experience things. We have feelings about it. We want to make that level of impact with service management, and I think we can do it. But we've got to shed some bad habits that we had before, and take on some different kinds of mindsets. But I think that's the way. Mission, vision, goals is really the true north for not only the organization, but for IT, and how do we deliver the kinds of things that it's expected to meet that mission, vision, and goal.
Yes, every department should align to that. Okay, so if you've got a question or you want a specific thing covered in today's chat, please tune in. Please put in something in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, you put comments there, we'll see them. We'll be able to add your comments to the conversation and your questions to the conversation. And I love that, that alignment to the business goals, the business vision and values, because it feels like you're cheating. And that's kind of what you need when you're starting a strategy, is you need something to align to, and that is clearly it. It's a cheat sheet. And
it enables us to have the conversation in a business-like way, right? It's at the end of the day, we're good at technology. We in IT are good at technology. At the end of the day, that's not what gets us the value and outcomes. It's being able to speak to our non-IT colleagues in terms that they understand. They understand mission, vision, goals. And they need some help with, how do I do that with technology? And if the better that we can get at understanding mission, vision, goals, and what we can do to help and give the organization some options, the more successful we're going to be, not only from an IT perspective, but in the larger sense with service management, not just service management across the organization, not just IT.
Yeah, you could totally see, like, the business vision is to, of course, make revenue, please customers. Okay, how are we supporting that as an IT organization? Well, we've got a CRM in place. We make sure we track customers. We enable communication between our teams and our customers. And the business doesn't really care what technology we use. Sometimes they do, they have an opinion, but they don't always care that it's technology minded or not. They just want to be involved. They want to help out, and they want to be able to say, like, you're making this $10 million investment in such and such a platform. Let's all make this decision together, so that over the next 5 years, we're all stuck in the same boat together. And so it's about having that conversation, because you keep using that phrase, conversation, and that really is what it is. Once you are drafting a strategy, you can then use that as a way to have the conversation. Here's what I'm thinking for aligning to this. Here's what I'm thinking we need to invest in. What do you think? How is this going to work for you? And that is another great way to get budget too. You can start showing them, these are the kind of values and outcomes I'm looking for with technology. Now, please give me some cash to do it.
Absolutely. And the other thing this enables, Matt, and this is where a lot of organizations struggle when it comes to service management, is it starts to answer the why. Right? Why are you asking me to call the service desk? Why are you asking me to open a chat? Why are you asking me to come to the self-service portal? And if we're able to have those conversations early on and show how that aligns with strategy, not only do we answer the why, but we get buy-in and we get support from folks not in IT, but from the folks outside of IT that we're trying to do all the good things that service management can do for the organization. We get their support. Now, this is important. It's not just IT saying it, it's the organization saying it. And that's a very powerful place to be.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a great comment here from Mr. Burrows. Seems that many experts have beards and glasses. I couldn't not bring it up.
Yeah, that was great. And Matt, I've known Matt for longer than I care to talk about. He probably would talk about it, but longer than I care to talk. Yeah. But still, did you notice he had beards and glasses? Did you notice that?
You did too.
I think it was kind of a self-serving compliment.
Anyway, welcome, Mr. Burrows. We're glad to have you here. We're also wishing you your best retirement because, of course, that was announced recently. Also a former guest on Ticket Volume. So if you haven't checked him out, check out his episode on the Sophia framework. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's get back to strategy, because I think this has always been a struggle for IT. It is how do we, like you said, we are part of the business. And yet so often we relegate ourselves. Like we used to complain, oh, they put us in the basement. IT's down in the basement, no windows. But really, we do it to ourselves so often. And you see all these different approaches to break us out of our shells. Like I know for a long time, business relationship management, or BRM, was very popular. What suggestions do you give either executives or even just staff in IT to have those conversations? Where should they be looking to have them?
Oh, that's a great question. And gosh, there's a couple of things that kind of come to mind here. And there's like two things. We talked a little bit earlier about, how the business will invest in systems to manage customers. They'll invest in CRMs, right? They'll invest in ERP systems because they want to manage their inventory, or they want to manage their manufacturing lines and those kind of things. But for whatever reason, IT tends to go inside of its shell when it comes to service management systems. And if we get frustrated that we are left out, we IT are left out of those conversations around CRM or around ERP systems, then what are we doing when we don't include the business in those conversations around ITSM? So we got to keep in mind why we exist. And why we exist is to contribute, just like every other part of the organization contributes to the mission, vision, goals of the organization, right? That's why we exist. And we want to make sure, and I always tell executives this, I want to get selfish about this because I want to be the IT organization of choice for my business. I don't want them to consider an outsourcer. There are places that we want to outsource, but I want them to work that through me. And in order to do that, then I have to think like the business. And so there's where we start to come in. My first piece of advice, regardless of where you are within the IT organization, get to know your business. Yeah. You don't have to be an expert at how sales happens, but just know this is how sales happens in our organization. This is what we manufacture. And this is the businesses or customers outside of the organization that we serve. And this is why this is important to them. And then when we can start talking in those terms, hey, sorry, you're having an issue with the CRM system. I understand this is impacting your, let's get this resolved as quickly as possible. Not only do we get confidence, then people start to say, hey, this is a valuable resource. So the overarching piece of advice, get to know the business of your business and how we contribute, we IT, contribute to those results. That will serve you regardless of where you are in the organization.
It's such good advice. And I love how you're saying go broad. You don't need to go deep. Just know how the parts of your business work together to deliver value. You don't need to be an expert at sales. You don't need to be an expert at marketing to really help those people out. You just need to listen and understand. So we've got another great comment from Mr. Burrows. We need to decide what type of relationship we want. If it's not equitable, meaning beneficial to both sides, with each trying to help the other, then it's an abusive relationship doomed to failure. Oh, it's so true. It goes both ways, man.
Wise words from our friend Mr. Burrows, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and again, we talked about this just a few minutes ago. We do this to ourselves when we do not build relationships within the organization. You just can't leave it to a BRM function to do it. BRM is great, but it's not just that role's responsibility to build relationships. We need to build relationships across the entire organization. So that means we got to get out of our cube, right? Or we got to come into the office now and again and have the conversations, observe how the business is working, build those relationships. And sometimes they can be a little bit challenging, but stick with it because it will pay benefits and helps us do a better job. What's in it for me? It helps me do a better job as an IT professional. If I'm depending on the sales team to be experts at sales, I want that same response back to me, back to Matthew's point. I want them to look at me as being the IT expert. They don't have to know the depth of IT that I know, but they just know that I can count on them for doing this. I can count on my sales team. I can count on my financials team, et cetera, et cetera. So, be part of the business.
Yeah. And go deep in technology, right? Like always be paying attention. When you hear about those new things coming out, how can we apply this to the challenges that we're having? How can I bring this to my teams and my colleagues to conquer this? Okay, so let's talk about the structure a little bit, because there's all these different ways to think about service management, and to me, I really like the idea of a maturity model. Have you seen maturity models that work? Do you leverage them? Do you think that people should leverage them?
I have mixed feelings about, to be very candid, I have mixed feelings about maturity models. I think if they are used to enable improvements within the organization or to help bring awareness, some transparency in the organization, I think there are good things. I have seen maturity models abused. And what I mean by that is that they are the end, not the means. That we want to be a CMMI 3. Okay, why? And what does that mean to your organization? But if the challenge is to become CMMI 3 because we need to be this, because we are having this goal or objective, then I think they can be good things, because it starts to and it starts to bring in the conversation. I keep coming back to that theme, right? It starts to bring in and enable us to have the conversation. Hey, we got evaluated by an independent third party, and here's some opportunities for improvement. Here's what we should be able to get from those investments in improvement. Hey, business partner, what do you think? Is it worth us doing? And so if there are means to enable improvement or enable conversation, good thing. If it's just, hey, we want to be in CMMI 3, CMMI 2, CMMI whatever. Okay, so what?
Right? Gold star.
And I would say that, yeah, exactly. Give yourself a pat on the back, and you still have the same issue if you don't address the findings of the maturity memo. So, and I just picked out on CMMI. There's a lot of maturity models out there that serve great purposes, but they should. The primary purpose in my mind is to enable a conversation and help enhance or direct or make changes in the strategy that we're having.
Yes, it is a great spot. So start with the business goals. And if you're looking for ideas, maturity models, a great place to look. Don't go for the gold star, but combine those two together as a way to like brainstorm and meet the goals. Already, I just want to write a strategy.
Absolutely.
And so what do you think about
and to the point, Matt, don't overcook your strategy either. Just it doesn't have to be doesn't have to be.
And that's a good point. It's not written in stone either. Your strategy should be flexible. You should still be hitting your outcomes. You still want to hit your goals, but also understand that technology changes quickly. Your business changes quickly, and pivots are a good thing in some cases. So what about the service management office? I saw this question on the HDI forums yesterday. How should we structure our teams? And I wonder how much of a strategy means just getting to a service management office that have dedicated process owners, or even just people who share hats as process owners. Do you think that that's part of a strategy, or do you think that that's just like part of the experience of improving service?
I think it's a great question, and quite candidly, it depends upon where the service management office is positioned. I've long advocated that the service management office should be outside of IT. I think there's some good rationale or reasons to have an IT service management office, to kind of bring the IT organization together and help us integrate service management across the organization. Too many organizations look at service management as something that the service desk does.
Hmm.
Quite frankly, folks, that's way off the target.
Yeah.
But having said that, if it starts to help us mature, right? If it starts to help us bring a focus into IT about why it's so important that we work together and we define value streams and services and those kind of things, then I think it's a good thing. But to answer your question, I think it's a stepping stone to ultimately where we need to be. And I think the service management office really belongs outside of IT. I think it belongs at reporting into the CEO level. That's where I think it would belong. You're not going to walk up to your CEO tomorrow and say, "Hey, I want to put a service management office reporting into you." But especially when the house is on fire and I can't get my email out. But if it starts to help us mature and build toward fulfillment of a strategy, then I think it's a good thing. My apologies. I have a little. My cookies must be done here. Turn off my
I love it. Well, we have kind of reached the end of where I think we need to be talking about strategy. Like, there's not that much more to cover, except for maybe the documentation. Like, how do you actually capture it? Where do you think people, like, how do you visualize it? How do you share it with people?
If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. And the
Mhm.
second rule about documentation is if you don't write it down, you can't have a conversation. So I think that the place to start without making it, the thing about strategy is, just start and get it written down and then invite folks to the conversation and you start to evolve from there. It just has to be people. I run into organizations just that we got to have this grand 3-year plan and we've got to write down and well, yeah, you got to have a plan. It has to be sufficient enough so that we can align actions behind that plan. But more than that, you want to enable feedback in having the conversation. Are we heading in the right direction? And then how do we assure ourselves that we are heading in the right direction and we're fulfilling, our strategy is valid. To your point, if something shifts in the business, we got to shift our strategy too. So
Yeah.
so I think just starting and just here's the high level objectives. Here's what we intend to deliver. Here's how the business will feel it. Here's how we will measure that. Okay, what do you think? Right?
Yeah.
Are we on the right path? And just get started. Just start. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Just start visualizing it, start capturing it, and see what works. Work with your colleagues and your peers to see, is this serving your needs? Do you need more explanation? Are there visuals we need to throw in here? And then just review it over and over. Dude, Doug, I cannot thank you enough for being on Ticket Volume today. How can people connect with you and learn more?
Oh, absolutely. Certainly link up through LinkedIn. I'm out on LinkedIn. Or they want to drop an email. It's the very creatively named Doug@DougTedder.com.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Matt, it's been a real pleasure. I've had fun. I hope the folks that tuned in enjoyed the conversation and found some value.
Likewise. And thanks for your time today. Thanks for being on Ticket Volume, Doug.
My pleasure.
And for our audience today, what are you looking for? We have lots of ideas to give more value back to the community, but we need your input. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't have a strategy for improving the community, but I want you to be involved because you're the community. So leave a comment or email us at ticketvolume@invigate.com or DM me on any of the social platforms. I'll be there. And thank you for listening. And speaking of ticket volume, did you know that this podcast is brought to you by InvGate? It's a fit-for-purpose service desk solution with integrated asset management. It's designed to let you focus on supporting your organization and your strategy without a ton of arduous implementations and massive overhead. In fact, service teams from Toyota, McDonald's, and NASA use InvGate to manage their requests, automate workflows, and centralize IT assets and IT configuration data so that they can focus on delivering better service, because good service is good business. I hope you have a great week, everyone. And don't forget to register for our next live event, which will be the second Friday, September 8th. We'll be discussing IT asset management with Mr. David Foxon. We hope to see you there.